Ottawa has now shared its new immigration goals for the next 3 years. The government laid out guidelines for people in 3 different immigration classes. Those are economic, family, and humanitarian. It aims to level out the number of new permanent residents to Canada in 2026 at 500,000 people, putting an end to current record-breaking immigration numbers. So here's what Immigration Minister Mark Miller had to say yesterday.
These immigration levels allow us to bring in the skills and talent we need to fill the labour gaps and ensure Canada's economic prosperities, help families reunite, and remain a leader in refugee resettlement. They're keeping us with our long-term focus on economic growth, with roughly 60% of the permanent resident admissions dedicated to the crucial economic class.
So for more, we're joined by Phil Triadafiolopoulos. He's the Assistant Professor of Political Science at the University of Toronto. Welcome to Your Morning.
Good morning. Nice to be with you.
Nice to have you here. The new guidelines are going to see targets increase for 2024 and 2025, but then they're going to level out by 2026. This is in the midst of an affordability crisis in this country. We've got a crunch on housing. How will the economy adjust to adapt for these numbers?
In terms of affordability, I don't think we're going to see much change for a little while, because that's still a very high number. So the government has decided to take a pause at the upper end of their last target level at 500,000 people, which is historically very high. And in addition to that, they're not going to do anything about temporary migration flows. So that's international students and temporary foreign workers, at least until sometime next year. And so we admitted roughly as a country about 1 million people last year alone, and that is putting pressure on what is already a very tight rental market and a very tight housing market.
So you heard Minister Miller saying that the leveling off in 2026, this is going to allow for new residents to join the labour force successfully. He was talking about jobs and having skilled labour here. How does Ottawa want to use immigration to help with some of the labour shortages that we're seeing?
In various ways. Traditionally, really since the 90s, Canada has focused on highly skilled workers through its immigration program. That's changed more recently to target certain occupations that are deemed in demand. One of those areas is the skilled trades, and the argument is that we need more skilled tradespeople to build housing. But of course, that may be true, but those skilled tradespersons and all migrants, whether they're permanent residents or temporary foreign workers or students, need someplace to live. So when you're continuing to add people, again, to an already very tight housing market, that's not going to help things in the short term, right? It's likely to add pressure in the short term. In the long term, you may have more housing, you may have a larger population, you may have a larger economy, et cetera, but there is an inevitable transition cost that you can't avoid.
I want to touch on this Environics poll that came out a few days ago. 44% of Canadians in this poll saying they believe that the immigration numbers that we were sitting at were too high. And this is in terms of allowing people into the country, not people who are already here. So is there any indicator that the plan aligns with this sentiment?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they chose to pause at 500,000 rather than this year's level or, say, the 2024 level, which is a little under that. So the argument the minister made when asked about that is, well, it's only, you know, a few thousand more, so we went with the upper limit. But politically, the messaging is a bit weird to say that we're pausing in order to help with affordability and to enable better integration for those who are here, and on the other hand, to stay with a very high number in the face of public opinion that's starting to get a little bit worried about immigration levels, as you rightly point out. And I would add, that's something new. We haven't seen a number that high of Canadians skeptical about current immigration levels. Really, Canadians have been an outlier in terms of public opinion in their support for immigration. So this, for me, is a bit worrying.
And what does that say to you in terms of people being concerned about the healthcare crisis we're living in right now and the housing crisis and affordability and access?
That's also new. So people are beginning to link immigration to other issue areas that they care about. Healthcare and housing are the two that are most important, I think. And that isn't something we've seen for a very long time. Canadians, insofar as they think about immigration, don't think about it negatively, but when it's connected to other areas that are under pressure and they're seeing every day when they go to the ER or when they're trying to find an apartment, that makes it much more politically salient, much more politically top of mind.
It's great to have you with us for this conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.